just keeping it a buck with you, being honest, and hopefully that doesn't stop you from coming if you were coming already anyways. But we thank you. We appreciate you. What'd you say? Oh, okay. Well, thank you for the compliment. Appreciate it. So we give our honor and praise to the Most High. Bakwata, Barakalat Shem Yechava, and I Kofi, the servants of Christ, Shalom. Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, but we are always changing lives one mind at a time by being the voice of the voices and speaking the unspoken. For those who are going by the Gregorian calendar, and today is your Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Peace, peace. We thank you guys for being on. We greet you with that salute. We salute you with Shabbat, with peace. That's all we're saying when we say Shabbat Shalom. Peace be upon you on this specific day of rest, right? That's all we're saying. And we hope that your day is going well. I apologize. I'm trying once again to get our other platforms on. I'm running really late. But I praise y'all if we were able to pick up what we need to pick up, get stuff over here, set things up. I'm actually in front of a closed down shop or whatever, but at least we got cover in case it rains. So we praise the Most High for the situation and him working through to make sure that we connect. So once again, if you'd like to stand to your feet for the reading of Yah's word, we're going to go to Genesis 1:1. You don't even have to turn there because you should know Genesis 1:1. I'm going to read it in Avda, or I'm going to recite it in Avda in Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew, and then if you'd like to be able to say it with me in English, we'll say it together. And we're just going to have a little conversation about lack of creationism. We're in this series talking about the Satan. What is the Satan? The Satan, who is the Satan? Does he have a name? He's the accuser of the brethren. Who is the brethren? All this stuff, right? And we want to have some conversation about it. So once I get this together, all right, we'll get YouTube up. Facebook up. And then we'll be ready to go. And hopefully you guys can join us right after this when we get ready to have Minister Tamara come and give us a word. And we praise y'all for her for being obedient, giving us a word for Shabbat service on the podcast. All righty. Let's go ahead and get into this real quick. Thank you, everybody, once again for being on. We appreciate you. I think Facebook is ready to go. Thank you for being on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. We appreciate you so very, very much. All righty, here we go. All right. So we're going to go to Barashat, Aleph, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. If you have it, say amen. Say, I got it. Say, I'm with you. If you can, if you're able to reverence the word of Yah with us in some way, shape, or form, we would love to have you do so with us. We appreciate you. Thank you so much once again for being on with us. How's everybody doing? How you doing? On Facebook. Let's see. Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. We appreciate your presence. Hopefully all is well with you. Making sure that we have everybody on these platforms ready to go. All righty. Uh-oh. Okay, and now, of course, my device is acting up. All right, here we go. All right, I'm on. Thank you so much for being on, everybody. How you doing? How you doing, Sister Joy? Minister Stephen, Nelchach Mission, Sister MIT Tracy, Emmanuel, Sister Knight, Miss Purple. I believe I saw Sister Sherry on here. Hola, ¿cómo está? How you doing, Wolf Dog? Thank you for the love, by the way. Appreciate you. How you doing, Sister Carla? The Big King, if you're still on, welcome. How you doing, Iska, Tiwanda, Kayvon? I do need to go ahead. I got your message about the new number. I'll try to make sure I put that in my phone as soon as possible. How you doing, Sister Shima? Brooklyn, what's up? Brooklyn in the house. How you doing, Minister Jelani? We are in the DMV. We are in Southeast DC. Trying to help and give out to people in the community today. How you doing, Sister Nadine? How you doing, Brother Jermaine? Hopefully you feel better. Sister Sage, Sister Monica. If I miss your name, try it to my head, not to my heart. How you doing, Sister Sheila? We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. How you doing, MIT Jenny? Everybody on here. Okay, so we're going to Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. By the shot Aleph. If you're able to, stand to your feet, if you're able to reverence the word of Yah, we would gratefully appreciate you doing so, and we'll do it with you at the same time. If you are able to, please be careful. Please be safe if you're watching over your children, if you're traveling, if you're driving, right? If you should be paying attention to your steps instead of your phone, whatever the case might be, please make sure that you do so. But if you're able to, if you can stand to your feet for the reverencing of Yahweh's word, we'll go ahead and get ready to read it together. We'll say our Bible pledge first. If you want to put your Bible or your device or your right hand in the air, get ready to repeat after me. We'll say, this is my Bible, this is my sword, and this will I trust. For Yahshua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. At Sham Yahweh, Aman, which is in Yahweh's name, Aman. How you doing, Sister Betty? How you doing, Amita? All righty, let's get into this. And Shabbat Shalom to everybody once again on all the different platforms. Here we go. Barashat Aleph at Aleph. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. It says this. Barashat Ora Alacham at Shamayam at Aratz. Once again, Barashat Bara Alacham at Shamayam at Aratz. One more time. Barashat Bara. So Barashat, in beginning, right? Bara, created. Alacham, right? Shamay at, towards. Shamayam, heaven. At, and towards Aratz, the earth. A better translation for English than what we say would be, in beginning, created Elacham, towards heaven and towards earth. Or what you might say in your Bible, especially your King James Version, it will say, in the beginning, Elacham, or God. But however, we would say, in the beginning, Elacham created the heaven and the earth. We just recited a few times Barashat Aleph at Aleph, for Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. We know that Yahweh has blessed the word since even before we got up on this rising, and we thank him for this day. You may be seated if you're standing, but we thank you for reverencing the word of Elacham. All right. So when we're over here and we're in this scripture, the reason why this is brought up today is we've been doing this series now, the Satan, right? Chasatan. How you doing, Karis? Right? We were doing this series on the Satan. How you doing, Sister Teresa? How you doing, Joseph? We've been doing this series on the Satan. Remember, the Satan is not a name. The Satan, Chasatan, Atzatan, Avler, or in Hebrew, for us in Israel, he has no name. He's the nameless one. He has no authority. How you doing, Social Butterfly? And so since he has no authority, he's not S-A-T-A, you know what? He's the Satan, Chasatan, Atzatan. And this is a way of calling him the accuser. Now, it's not really the, but it's basically separating him. At is separating him as Satan, the accuser. We don't have the word the in Hebrew. We know what we're talking about based on how the characters and the sentences are structured, right? So he's At Satan, the Satan, right? He's the accuser, and we learned that as the accuser, he's the accuser of the brethren. How you doing, Sister Nadine? So we're coming from a different perspective that many people are looking at this thing from, number one, in this series. Today, though, as a theme in the midst of this series, the motif is Chasatan, Atzatan, the Satan. But for the series is dealing, or for the series today, what we're dealing with is a motif of lack of creationism. Today we're talking about lack of creationism. What did we say? Lack of creationism. You see that? We're dealing with what again? Lack of creationism. Right? If we take creationism away, now tomorrow we're going to deal specifically with what does the word of Yah say about creation, right? What is creation? But today we're talking about lack of creationism. Now remember, ISM on a word makes it a system. And I apologize, I'm going to try to answer as many people as possible today, but I'm already running late, and we got to make sure that Minister Tamara's up. And then after that, I got to make sure that we're ready to help set up over here so we can bless the people as Yah has called us to do today. Praise Yah. And those who are on your way, please be safe on your way over. All right. If you are in the area and you want information on how to get to us, at this point, you're going to have to text us, email us. We'll put that information up at the end, especially on TikTok. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, it's in your description. If you're going to join us on the podcast later on, all the podcasts, they have in the description, the number and all that stuff. You can text, etc. But if you're in the DMV, coming from Baltimore, somewhere around there, and you want to meet up with us in Southeast, you're going to have to get to Southeast DC, by the way, by 11 or at least by 1 at the end if you're trying to even just meet up with us to go somewhere to eat. So if you need more information, you're just going to have to, that's the only way I can really get it out to you. We try to put it on Facebook. We send it to everybody, at least that I had on top of my head that was in the DMV. If I missed you, please forgive me. We can still make sure that we send it to you. All right, if you'd like to be able to join us. But we've been putting it out there for a little while now. We've been talking about it for a month and a half at least. So prayerfully, those who are able to come, we'll see you today. If not, possibly we'll see you in the DMV. Maybe we're actually through my wife's charitable organization, ChangingLivesInitiative.org, we're going to be helping out to give out clothes. So maybe if you'd like to be able to join us for that, you can go ahead and do that. And we'll try, and that might be around the 17th or something. That one will be probably closer to Bmore, probably closer to Baltimore. So if you're interested in joining us for that, you can feel free to go ahead and help out and see us with that. Okay. So just putting that out there in advance as well. But we thank you once again for being on with us. We appreciate you. So today we're going to talk about lack of creationism. Lack of creationism. What does that give us? How you doing, Sister Iska? Right? Chantel, how you doing? How you doing, baby girl gifted? How you doing, Brittany? Brittany, feels like it's been a while since I've seen you on. Hopefully everything is well. If I didn't say hello, Sister Teresa, how you doing? How you doing, DB? Everybody who's coming on all the platforms, appreciate you. Shabbat shalom. So, lack of creationism. Remember when we put an ISM on a word. So we're not talking about lack of creation. We're talking about lack of creationism. ISM on a word makes it what? A noun. A noun is what? A person, a place, or a thing. So when I have lack of creationism, right? When I have lack of creationism, what am I dealing with? When I'm dealing with lack of creationism, what am I dealing with? Lack of creationism, I'm dealing with what? I'm dealing with ISM, which makes it a system, the system of creation. So what I'm saying is that if you believe in creation, then you have to believe in a system. You have to believe in natural law. You have to believe in universal laws. You have to believe in certain principles that do not change. You have to believe in creation. You have to believe in the Most High. You have to believe in what the Word of Yah says, etc. If I take away creationism, the system attached to creation, this is why many people have tried to deal with creation and try to get rid of it. Because if I take away creation, then what do? I take away a system. You said plagiarism? Yeah, plagiarism, sure. Plagiarism is what? What does it mean to plagiarize? Plagiarize means to what? Plagiarize, like to plagiarize is the act, right? ISM makes it a noun, right? A person, place, a thing. And a system as well. I'm sorry, I did the noun thing wrong in my head. Let's just deal with the system because it's too much to talk about. That's not what I'm focused on, right? But to plagiarize is what? It's the act of doing what? Of copying off basically what somebody did. If we can make it really quick definition, right? Quick working definition. So if I have plagiarism is you went through a process, through a system, you went to this site, you went to that one, you looked at how you could try and put it together. You might even use AI, right? Chat GPT or whatever it's called to be able to put something together. You use the system of things that's not even yours. You copied it and you use the system that people have put forward to help you to be able to just put something there, even if sometimes the system is as simple as you just copy and paste, right? ISM on a word makes it a system, right? Race is supposed to be a competition. A lot of you think race is a species because of what people did going into evolution. Well, if you have race and you put an ISM on it, then what do you have? A system based off of competition, right? That's ISM on anything makes it a system. That's how it works. It's like saying Sion or Chion or Tion, right? Or shun, right? Motivation, motivate is a verb. TION makes it a noun. So anytime I see TION on a word, I should know already I'm dealing with a noun. A person, place, a thing. Could it be possible that it could be something else besides a noun? Possibly, but really, if I see a TION on the word, that's it telling me I'm dealing with a noun. Can there be exceptions to rules, especially in English? Because English is a jacked up language, of course, right? Because English is not a language within itself. It's a language borrowed from and copied and done all types of stuff, right? But today we're talking about lack of creationism. You see, lack of creationism. Not lack of creativity, not lack of creation, lack of what? Creationism. If I don't have a system in place based on creation, the question today that I've been sent to be able to give you today, how you doing, Brother Craig? How you doing, Cool Craig? Or Cool Kang, excuse me. The thing that I want to introduce to you today, and I've been sent, is that if I don't have a system based off of creation, I have a system based off of something else. If I can change how you feel about the way the Most High created the universe, right? Then I can change everything. Matter of fact, if I say that there is no creator of the universe, then that means that I changed the whole system, the way you live and operate. Matter of fact, if I say that the universe created itself, then I can start saying the universe is God. But let me go deeper. If I can say that the universe is God, right? Follow me now. If the universe is God, and then I can say, well, the universe or God has everything in it or him that you have in yourself. But wait a minute, if you have everything in the universe and everything in the universe is God, because God is the universe and God created itself, then that means that you are God. So I'll have to say, what's up, God? peace to the gods, stuff like that. But if I go even deeper, wait a minute, if the universe created itself and the universe is God and the universal principles are now your principles, and there you have God in you and now have to address you as God, then it means that your principles and what you would have as far as how you created the universe, how you created yourself. So now you don't have to listen to anybody. You don't have to do what people say. You don't have to honor people. You don't have to bow down to anybody, sit at anybody's feet. You just get to be God. How you doing, Sister Jeanette? Right? You just get to be God. Right? And is that not what everybody wants? Peace, God. What's up, God? Peace to the gods. And it's not righteous for you to be all in one, alone. Matter of fact, in Hebrew, the term for alone or all in one is what? Bad, B-A-D, bad. So it is bad, literally. The word in Hebrew for alone is bad. Yachava asar, um, um, lataba Adam bad. It is not righteous. It is not morally valuable. It is not correct for Adam. It is the opposite of righteous for Adam to be what? To be alone. It is bad. It is bad. Right? Like this is what we're dealing in, right? So the lack of creationism actually puts a system into where now I've got to figure out a system for myself, or somebody out here is leading me in that. You said universe has always been here. Humans can't understand that. I mean, well, first of all, humans who are quick to talk about the universe has always been here. That sounds great and everything until you have a human being that's sitting there telling you about how other humans can't understand something that they themselves were not able to see. Right? Everybody keeps talking about this observational science, but you were not able to actually observe the universe form. Matter of fact, what does the word universe mean? Right? Matter of fact, what does the word universe mean? The word universe literally means uni, a, right? Uno, uni, right? It means one, first, a, single, and then verse means a single spoken sentence. So a universe is a single, I'm sorry, verse means a sentence, right? Or a spoken sentence. So the universe is a single spoken sentence. What is the single spoken sentence that we talked about today? Barashat bara alacham achamayam at adatz, or in beginning Elacham created the heaven and the earth. That is the universal sentence. That is a universal statement. You cannot talk about a universe without somebody who had to speak it. That's what it means. You can't talk about a multiverse until you first deal with a universe. If there's not an initial statement, then it can't be everybody else's statement, which means that somebody has to be able to speak something into existence. Somebody has to exist out of what was created. And we have a problem because what's happened is it's not just the lack of creation. It's not just the lack of you don't believe in what I believe in, right? You said, what about a galaxy? What about a galaxy? Is a galaxy inside a universe? No offense, I'm not trying to come at you hard, but what about a galaxy? A galaxy is inside of a universe, right? That's what we're taught. Using the words that they use. And see, I believe we should use words with their original value, and we should not change them to try and win an argument. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to be righteous. In proper etymology, if I know that a universe has to be what? A single spoken sentence. If a galaxy is within a universe, then that means the galaxy was spoken into existence as well. Matter of fact, you can't tell me how a galaxy formed, how the universe formed, because you guys because not you particularly, but people who are against it, they have to keep changing it, which once again, now lack of creationism, lack of the system that y'all put in place means we don't actually have anything to stand on, because all it takes is a couple months and somebody's going to change again what they said is permanent value. Wasn't that long ago you thought there might have been 10 planets. Wasn't that long ago you thought there might have been 9 planets. Wasn't that long ago that you now or have been told that there's only 8. You see what I'm saying? We have to keep changing it because there is no, watch this, in math, what do you call 0? What do they call 0? I want to help you with something. See, when we don't have a system in place, we bounce to all these different things. We argue different things. I'm not saying you're arguing. We're not arguing. I'm just saying in general, right? But what is 0? What is 0? How you doing, Gatekeeper? Thanks for being part of the community. Right? What is 0 in math? What is 0? If we go to 0, right, which is a somewhat modern creation, actually, in the timeline of humanity, but what is 0? They even call it something. They give it. It starts with an A. They call it absolute 0. Is that not a term? You ever heard of that? It's absolute. It's a place that we can say, okay, this is where we can actually get into negative and positive, right? It's an absolute. We need an absolute here. Zero is a way of zeroing in, ground zero. This is an absolute. This is something that we can use as a foundation. When you keep changing what the universe is to benefit your narrative, right? Your ideology. Ideology is something that's created, an ideal, a study of something that's created, or a logic of something created to be able to support your narrative. That's what an ideal is, something that's made to support your narrative. So if we're getting to this thing to support your narrative and we do not have an absolute, well, there's what are you absolutely positive of? You want to say like the equator? I mean, you could look at it. I mean, in a sense, at least for those who believe the world is round, we'll get into that part tomorrow, right? But you could say, if you believe in that, you could say that the equator has a zero around it, right? That line that they say, that imaginary line that's supposed to be in the middle, even though if you know how the Earth actually is in proper map projection, then it's not really in the middle anyways. You say refusal to accept that stolen info from the scroll, all stolen from our culture. Yeah, I see. How you doing, Ismborn? How you doing, Goldie? Peace unto you. Shabbat shalom to everybody coming on. Thank you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Hopefully we'll have you join later on at 10 a.m. Eastern New York time when Minister Tamara gives the word. Right? But see, if I take away an absolute, then there's nothing. Watch this. You ever any Star Wars? Some of y'all are fans, fanatics, but any people who are aware of Star Wars, watch Star Wars for a while. How you doing, Dion? Right? Here's something that's really interesting. There's something they say in Star Wars that is kind of funny to people who watch Star Wars. They'll have the Sith. The Sith are supposed to be the dark side, which they're trying to teach you are not really bad people, but you think of them as the antagonist, right? And they'll say a Sith never speaks or never deals they say only a Sith deals in absolutes. So in Star Wars, they're trying to get you and I to believe, how you doing, Miracle? They're trying to get you and I to believe that only bad people believe there's an absolute. Amen, cares worshiping the creator or the creation instead of the creator, right? But the problem with this is that how can you say that only a Sith deals in absolutes as a Jedi, but for you to make that statement, it has to be what? It has to be an absolute. You ever thought about that? If any Star Wars people in here, they say only a Sith deals in absolutes, but it's like for you to say that, are you absolutely sure? How you doing, Sister Chambers? You see what I'm saying? Only a Sith, only somebody who's negative, only somebody in the bad side of the force would use an absolute. But in order for you to make that statement, you have to be absolutely sure. Do you know in science, they teach you now, they say there are no absolutes. But come and tell them, well, then how are you absolutely sure that the earth is billions of years old? They say, well, haven't you read it in a book? Haven't you seen somebody say this? See, because they don't want you to believe that you're dealing with somebody's faith. How you doing, Sister Toya? Praise God for you. You're dealing with somebody's faith, family. Somebody has faith in this. You're dealing in what? Absolutes. They say there are no absolutes until you all of a sudden challenge what they say is they're absolutely sure of. But if there's no absolute, then how can you know? Somebody says, I don't believe in the Most High. Ask them this question next time they say that. Ask them, do you believe with everything that's in the universe? Ask them, do you believe that you know half? Do you know 50% of everything that's ever existed in the universe? Ask them this question. Watch this. I'm going to give you something. I'm going to bless you with something. This is something that actually Dr. Kent Hovind teaches. But I'm going to go ahead and bless you with it and pass it on to you. How you doing, babe? My wife is on the Honorable Mind. As always, please check her out on TikTok, YouTube, or website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A and D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. How you doing, Sister Bree? And thank you for being on, babe. Love you very much. And thank you for coming out here. Appreciate you. How you doing, Cat Lady? Everybody coming on. If I miss your name, once again, charge to my head, not to my heart. So here you are telling me that you know. Somebody will tell you, I know, or a lot of them will at least say, I do not believe. But someone will tell you straight up, I know that there is no Elohim. There is no creator of the earth. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that you know at least 50%? Do you know half of the things of the universe? A lot of them will admit to you, no, I don't even know that. But some of them will even be bold enough to say, yeah, I know. Okay, well, if you know half of everything that's happened in the universe, let me ask you a question. Is it possible that the Most High could be in the half that you do not know? How you doing, spiritual prospect? Shabbat shalom to everybody. How you doing, Brother Anthony? Thanks for being part of the community, Michael. Appreciate you. How you doing, Sister Barbara? You see, lack of creationism, not lack of creation, but lack of creationism is a messed up system to be in. And thank you for the love. Appreciate it. Right? And all your stuff you swear you know, could it be possible in the things that you do not know? See, somebody is trying their best to get you to believe that they have less faith than you. This is what a lot of people even say. Some of our brothers, some of them now even those who say that they are with Jah. Some of them who say Rastafari. I'm not Rastafari. I'm usually confused with it. But a lot of people, brothers that even say Rastafari, they're starting to get into this mindset where they'll say, "Hey, you know." I don't believe, or I don't have faith, or they're trying to make belief and faith two different things. Faith is belief, right? Without having what? Faith is belief in trusting what's going to happen already, or trusting what's been given, or trusting what's been spoken. But I haven't seen it yet, but I believe in it. That's what faith is, right? But faith is, I believe in something, even if I don't have all the details. Belief, usually, at least the way you use it in English, you're dealing with somebody that says, I have to have evidence or have to have this or whatever. But faith is still belief. Faith is just, I don't have all the evidence or I don't have as much, right? The unseen. Well, tell me this. What person has been there for the Big Bang? If you believe, and I know it was not, if I have somebody on here that's going to come on here, it wasn't first called the Big Bang. Fine, whatever. Before it was even called the Big Bang or whatever the other theory that you called it, before that, it was actually Gaia in Greek. Before Gaia, there was nothing, then Gaia existed. And guess what? Gaia is not the universe. Gaia is actually the earth, right? Anybody ever played, those God of War games? Or you ever seen any of the stories? I've never really played them, but I've seen the stories on YouTube and stuff. But when you look at the story, right? When you look at it, you'll see that Gaia is one of the gods, or one of the really the deists or the deities, right? But she's one of the ones who is extinguished by Kratos, and they make her look like what? She looks like the earth. Matter of fact, if you see Moana and you saw the fire goddess that they were trying to show you, and she turned back into the earth goddess at the end, that's their version of Gaia. It's the same spirit, right? But they have faith. They have faith. They have a faith. This is something that you can't see. Watch this. They'll tell you that we can tell you that stars were born. We've seen stars born before in nebulas. Okay, ask them, when did you see it? They'll say, no, we have faith because we've seen this happen, and we've seen this star break, and we've seen this star break. Okay, cool. But when did you see a star be born? Hello, Mr. Jackson. Thanks for being part of the community. You said a lot of RPGs use Gaia as an earth reference. Yep. You see, it's faith. We're dealing with faith. This is not something that they can prove to you, they can document. Watch this. This is not something that can give you a hypothesis and make sure they have controls. They cannot create this Big Bang. Well, NASA's been caught in lies and stuff like that. We probably get deeper into that tomorrow. But I'm just trying to show you the creationism, ISM, as a system. See, without creation, there is no ISM. There's no system. They're trying to remove creation to change the system, to change the way that you think. Now, somebody will say, well, that doesn't even make sense. And we'll go deeper into some of this stuff tomorrow. But let me just show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. Prayerfully, I got this set up to where you'll be able to see it. All right. Or at least on certain platforms, you'll be able to see it. I'll make sure that I speak about it so you can see you can hear about what everybody else is seeing. I had to do screenshots while I was traveling by vehicle, so I'm not sure how many of these are going to be easy to see. But first of all, if somebody deals with evolution, you have to first ask yourself, what do you even mean? We'll get deeper into this part tomorrow, but there are 6 types of evolution. Did you know that? There are 6 types of evolution. Did you know that? You have to deal with 6 different types of evolution in order to have a conversation about evolution. And there's only one that they can prove, because it's technically not evolution. But at least we can agree that this thing does happen. I would just call it Yah's will. I would call it marriage. I would call it sex. I would call it, procreating, so to speak. But it's number 6. The first one is cosmic evolution, the origin of time, space, and matter, which has become affectionately known as the Big Bang. Right? They cannot prove this. Cannot prove it. They try to create a system around it, but cannot prove it. All right, we'll go deeper into these tomorrow, like I said, but I just want to introduce some. Number 2, chemical evolution, the origin of higher elements from hydrogen. Because, if you had hydrogen, even if you had hydrogen and you had not helium, hydrogen, and because they don't believe oxygen started off. But basically, a lot of people, some people even just say it's just hydrogen, right? But if you had hydrogen and you had nothing else, you got to ask yourself a question. Well, how did the stuff evolve into other elements? How do you get to oxygen? How do you get to nitrogen? How do you start getting to a place where you need stuff like nitrogen oxide, or you need stuff like H2O, or you need stuff like H3O2? How do we get these things, right? You got to talk about that. There's a third type of evolution. You got to talk about stellar and planetary evolution, the origin of stars and planets. No one has ever seen a star form. Nobody has ever seen a star form. Matter of fact, if you do your research, all these planets are named after the Greek. They have Roman names, but they're named after these Greek or Roman deities, right? And then the moons are always named after those ones who served the deities. They're based off of somebody's faith, right? It's religious. It's religion. Well, what's something else? Number 4, organic evolution. Organic evolution is what? You got to talk about the origin of life. Now you got to talk about what actually is, how did you evolve, right? Because they tell you that you came from a banana. They say you're 50% banana. Are you 50% banana? They lie about some of these percentages too, because they'll say, gorillas and you are 99.6% or 99.7% or 99 point whatever percent the same. They'll say you and a chimpanzee rather are that closely related. But if you look at a chimpanzee sperm, then they'll say, well, the sperm is only 40-something%, and they'll say the egg is only 50-something or 60-something%. It's like, so how can you have a sperm that's 40-something% human and an egg that's 60-something or 50-something% human come together, and somehow we end up 99-point-something% the same? They're lying. This is a faith statement. Somehow you get that, you have that percentage, and it turns into almost 100%. Then you have to talk about macro evolution. That means now we're talking about changing from one kind to another, what you would call one species, and really what they mean by race. That's what they mean by race, and species. But you have to talk about each of its kind. How does the kind change from one to another? How is it that I can have a lion and a tiger, and they can come together and have a baby, but that baby cannot have any other babies? How is it that they evolve? Because even if you are successful in having a lion and a tiger come together, the lion and tiger, each of its kind, can even come together and have offspring, but the offspring cannot produce further offspring, right? And then number 6, you have micro evolution. Micro evolution is what? Micro evolution tells us that if 2 animals or 2 of the same kind of species come together, then you should have variations in skin color and hair and height and this and that. Well, of course, that's just 2 people having sex and having a child. See, so when somebody tells me about evolution, you got to deal with 6 types of evolution. Which one are you talking to me about? See, creationism is just one. Evolution is based on a bunch. And so they're trying to call that last one microevolution. Microevolution, yeah, if 2 people come together, they'll have different children. And if that children or one of their children comes together with somebody else's child, there'll be a variance and this and that. That's not evolution. But hey, if you want to agree that at least that exists, we'll agree that exists. You said Gauss's law states that all complex systems evolve, meaning hydrogen and stars. Well, yeah, Gauss's law, even though Gauss's law wouldn't be based off something, because at the end of the day, if you believe that everything came from the same source and everything came from the same explosion, or everything came from an explosion of different systems, now is what different planetary systems that come together, at some point you got to even say, how did stuff slow down till you can get to the place to where these things can slow down and come into a presence to be able to come together in the righteous way? Because of space, although now the argument is space is not a complete vacuum, but if space is a vacuum and things explode and they just go in different directions, how do they slow down to get with each other? Even the whole thing as far as saying space is expanding because we think that it expands because we look through a telescope and we believe that there's something with the speed of light. But question, have you ever seen the speed of light pass a certain amount of things? Have you ever gone billions or millions of light years before? If you've never gone millions of light years before, what happens to light after a certain amount of years? Is it possible that it could change? Is it possible it can hit something? Is it possible you could see something reflect? Is it possible? You see what I'm saying? What actually holds the earth, if you believe that the earth goes around the sun, right? Global cosmology, something given by the Roman Catholic Church. Cool. No problem with it. How is it that these planets are rotating and not making sure that they're pulling each other as far as gravity, because you believe in the theory of gravity. So gravity means that these planets have to be able to make sure that the sun is pulling them, but also other things are pulling them away as well. Jupiter is not going around enough to make sure the Earth doesn't eventually go into the sun, and Saturn isn't either. Matter of fact, what happens when Saturn and Jupiter are on the other side of the sun? Do you not go into it? Right? What holds these things in place? Even dark matter, which people talk about when even they try to now put melanin into that, that's still theoretical because nobody knows what it is. It's just a theory. Right? It's faith. You have to have faith in it. You said the Big Bang is a singularity. A singularity means we don't understand. Yeah, which means that you don't, which is another fancy way of saying you really don't know if it happened. Somebody says that this is a theory. Is a theory a fact, or is a theory based off a fact? There's a difference, right? I'm not coming at you. I'm just trying to say, right? Let's use the words correctly. First of all, it's even connected to theos and theology. So we should be careful about that because we're making a faith statement when we're making a theoretical statement, right? But theories, even planetary theories, even scientific theories are supposed to be based off of natural law, which has to be based off of universal law. If it's not universal, then it's not natural. If it's not natural, then technically it's not lawful. So technically it can't even be a theory, right? But a theory is not a fact. Or even if you want to put a theory as a fact, remember, we're talking about law, natural law. When you go into a courtroom, even if somebody gives a bunch of facts to a judge, you have every right to go against the facts or to show what is the facts are, right? Because just because they say it's a fact does not mean that it's a contextual fact, nor does it mean that it's an actual fact. So just because somebody labels something as a fact does not mean that I do not have the right to judge it. You have the right to be able to judge what I believe and stuff like that based off of your culture and your thought process and your theoretical things. Well, I have the right to be able to judge as well. And I should judge it off a proper interpretation. What is it that the people are saying when they said it? You see what I'm saying? You have to ask yourself, right? By the way, Albert Einstein, his theory was supposed to get rid of the theory of gravity because the theory of gravity doesn't mean just what holds you down to the earth, right? And his theory of relativity has been displaced as well, but we're still using it. Now, can you use parts of it? For sure, to help you out, but it's a theory. It's something that you're trying to use because you know A and you know C, but you don't know what B is to get you from A to C. Technically, you don't even know C, but you assume you know C, you assume you know A, and so you're trying to use something to help you to get from A to C. That's a theory. The B there is a theory. You said, what other theories? And then there are scientific theories of errors of bonds. No, theories are theories. If it's a scientific theory, by the way, once again, even science is based off of your culture. You see what I'm saying? But lack of creationism or lack of some, because creationism is supposed to be the same, at least as far as, once again, I'm talking about culturally, right? If I keep saying every year I'm going to change what something was, if I keep saying the dinosaurs had this, okay, dinosaurs had feathers, okay, dinosaurs were not, okay, dinosaurs were lizards, all right, some of them were lizards, all right, they've all turned into birds. Wait a minute, birds don't really share the same DNA. Oh, wait a minute, now we're going to say they do. Okay, we're going to start building up the bones and making sure that they're structured specifically like bird bones. Wait a minute, that doesn't always work for all of them, right? You know, one of my favorite dinosaurs was a brontosaurus, and I believe dinosaurs exist, by the way, right? Because some creationists don't. I think that that's foolish, but nevertheless, because even your Bible talks about dinosaurs. Thank you for the love, appreciate you, right? But my favorite dinosaur was Littlefoot. I love brontosauruses, but you know, there's no such. Some of you might not know this, but there's no such thing as a brontosaurus. Did you know that? Did you know that there's no such thing as a brontosaurus? Did you know that? But that was my favorite, until somebody had to explain to me that somebody was trying to do something that didn't go with their own science and their own culture spoke against it, and they had to realize, oh, this was like some weird form of a brachiosaurus or something like that, and they had taken some kind of head that was of something else, and they were so quick to try and do it, and based off of the little bit that they knew, they created something called a brontosaurus. So for the longest time, until my, like, you know, I'm talking about till recently, like the last 5 years or so, you couldn't tell me that my favorite dinosaur was not a brontosaurus. I like brontosaurus, triceratops, eventually, you know, T-Rex. They never liked his name, but, you know, T-Rex. But come to find out, it's not a brontosaurus. Matter of fact, science will tell you that, you know, if you're certain types of predator, or if you're a carnivore, carnivores do what? Real question for you, real quick. Carnivores do what? I know this seems to be simple, but I'm going somewhere. What do carnivores do? What do carnivores do? They eat meat. What do herbivores do? Watch this. What do herbivores do? Yes, dinosaurs existed according to the Bible. We have no problem. If you're somebody who believes in Tanakh or the Bible, you shouldn't have any problem with a dinosaur because you see things in there talking about Leviathan, which is basically what they call the super crocs. You see stuff in there talking about animals that had the tails the size of tree trunks. You see it talking about animals that had bones that were so big that they were like columns that you could put into place. These are land-dwelling animals. So we had no problem with dinosaurs, right? But now, see, I forgot what was my initial question. What was my question I just asked? Oh, no. What do herbivores do? Herbivores eat plants. Omnivores. What do omnivores do? Omnivores eat both. Question for you. Is there any such thing, really, as a carnivore? Question for you. See, the system has messed you up to where you believe somebody's culture and their reference, and you got away from creationism. Is there any such thing as a real carnivore? Is there any such thing as a real herbivore? How you doing, Sister Mignon? Sister Mignon's a teacher now. Y'all messing with the wrong one. She said, no. Because the reality is all these carnivores, they tell you they all eat grass. They all eat herbs. They eat what's there for them. Polar bears, when the snow goes away. Yes, when the snow's there, pretty much you ain't got nothing to eat except seals, right? Maybe a narwhal, maybe something like that, maybe another polar bear, maybe a human being, right? You got to do what you got to do because there's nothing there. Everything's scarce. Right, you got to keep that weight up. You got to make sure you can fight the snow, the cold, all that stuff. But then what happens? When the snow goes away? Polar bears don't just. Matter of fact, when the snow goes away, they look for land, right? Because they don't have the ice to be on anymore. They get to the land, and then what do they do when they get to the land? Yes, they still try to eat meat, but if they can't get enough meat, they still got to make sure they got the pounds and everything together. What do? They eat what's there. If your dog is supposedly carnivore, until you actually own a dog and you realize that you got to get mixed food. You got to have all types of stuff. You got to give them rice. You got to give them grains. You got to make sure that you give them vegetables. And if your dog is sick, guess what your dog will do? Your dog will go outside and he'll start looking for grass and specific type of herbs because your dog has enough sense that the herbs are going to heal them and make sure that it helps them to expel things from their body so they can throw up. Right? But they tell you that's a carnivore. No, that's an omnivore. Matter of fact, there's really no such thing as a true carnivore or a true herbivore. Animals eat what they need to eat. You know, sheep have been known to bite the heads off of baby birds and eat them. Sorry to be very graphic, but it's true. It's the truth. You know, deer have been known to murk, some of these things, or they even had stuff where they did, they were trying to figure out what happened to the, here's somebody's science. They were trying to figure out what happened to the human body when it decayed. So some people had dedicated their bodies to science. They took their bodies, they put them out in the field, didn't bury them. They left them out so that they can go ahead and see what happens with natural decomposition. There weren't any creatures that were carnivores that they thought would come around, scavengers even they thought would come around looking for this stuff. So they thought everything would go well, and they come to find out what's going on. Something's nibbling on the bodies. Come to find out it's deer. Right? There's cows in Australia that they found out the cows are eating snakes. They weren't getting enough phosphorus. Do you know even if you introduce certain types of vegetables into the diets of hamsters, like corn and stuff like that, do you know that hamsters will actually start going off on their own children, on their own offspring? Excuse me, they don't have children, they have offspring. Right? But this lack of stuff, it leads to a lot of different things. So I just want to share some things, the lack of creationism, because see, a lot of people don't want to talk about the fact that once we started saying there is no system of creation, Yahweh's not real, the Most High didn't really do these things, all this stuff, we have this really bad stuff that's going through it. So I just want to introduce you to some things that started happening. See, because, in the early 1900s, you didn't teach that the world was round. You taught that the earth was flat. In the early 1900s, and when I say early 1900s, let's say 1900s to 1950s, 1960s, you didn't teach that the earth wasn't created, or you didn't teach evolution. You taught that the earth was created. That was something that was there. Russia then all of a sudden, supposedly, gets into space right? Sputnik and all that gets into space before America does. America's supposed to be in this war with Russia on every little thing. And so they say, hey, Russia's better than us. They're getting better than us in math and stuff. And rather than study, or rather than tell the truth about certain things, or rather than make sure that we were stronger in those things, they said we need to teach evolution because that's what Russia teaches. And the only reason Russia taught evolution was because Stalin, just like Hitler, just like many others, just like even the Kennedy family, believe it or not, because you don't know the Kennedy family loves Adolf Hitler, and it's even in the journal of JFK that Adolf Hitler should be esteemed and should be looked at as a genius, because Adolf Hitler believes that, hey, it's survival of the fittest. He read Charles Darwin's book. So this Joseph Stalin. They always talk about Christianity. They always talk about followers of the way. They always talk about the Bible causes all these wars, but they don't want to talk about evolution causes these wars. Even Idi Amin, evolution. Even Papa Doc, Baby Doc, that's Haiti, evolution. Oh yeah. Oh yes, it's really interesting that we'll talk about everybody else. But anyway, so in the 50s and 60s, United States of America started telling people we need to teach evolution so that we can catch up. And by the way, may I also tell you something? You know that it's not a law that you cannot teach creation in school. That's a lie that was that was propagated. That was something that propaganda was there by the ACLU to be able to make sure that you guys thought that you were not supposed to go ahead and teach creationism in schools, right? You can teach creationism in school. You just have to have a teacher that's willing. You can't force somebody to teach you. You can force, isn't it interesting? You can force evolution on people, even though by law you can't. You could you could just get enough signatures and they would have to change it. But by law, they say, supposedly, you can just force evolution. But by law, you can't force people to teach creationism, but you cannot force them not to. If the teacher would like to teach creationism, they can. And then all you have to do is have the parents come together and make sure that they sign a petition, and then children can be taught creationism in school. See, but you were taught that you weren't supposed to do that. They did it because they want evolution to reign supreme. They want sun worship, lunar worship, all that stuff, right? Ishtar, all this stuff. They wanted that stuff to be able to reign supreme, right? Okay, so here we go. I gotta get through this today. I'm already running late, right? Because trying to get down here and make sure we're ready to be a blessing to the community today. Praise y'all. Hopefully you guys, first Friday, hopefully you guys were able to do that for others yesterday. Praise y'all. So watch this. So now out of this lack of creationism, out of the lack of a system that has absolutes, that has constants, that is consistent and doesn't change every 15 seconds, I just want to share some things. If you want to go look for this on YouTube, you can look up Kent Hovind talking about creation seminar on the channel is called Truth in Genesis. Truth in Genesis. The person speaking is Kent Hovind. So I'm using some of his stuff. He's somebody who I've learned a great deal from in life. And you won't agree with 100% of everything he says. That's fine. That's not what we're here for. We're looking for what? Amat. We're looking for truth. We're looking to look for righteousness. Righteousness is righteous. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to be righteous. He said evolution is not just a theory, it's a scientific theory with errors, bars, and evidence. Okay, once again, it's a scientific theory. A theory is still, okay, if you're going to try and say a scientific theory is different than a theory, that's somebody haggling over prices, right? That's a baseball bat, but it's a plastic baseball bat. You can get it at the Dollar Tree for $1. That's an aluminum baseball bat. You can get it for like 20, right? That's a wooden MLB baseball bat. You might need to pay $700 for that one, or $2,000 for that one, or whatever. Like at the end of the day, they're all baseball bats, right? So a theory, scientific theory, it's still theoretical, and a theory is supposed to be based off of law, even natural law, kingdom law, marital law, laws of attraction, law first mentioned. It has to be based off of law, and if it's not holding up in law, then it's a theory that deserves to be questioned, just like anything else, right? Yeah, every baseball bat that hits a ball. We can try to say, oh, that's an aluminum baseball bat. That's an iron baseball bat. That's a wooden baseball bat. Do they hit baseballs? That's a plastic baseball bat that comes with that tee, so that your 3-year-old can go ahead. That one has that's for wiffle ball. Okay. Look, is it a baseball bat? All right. Okay, a theory is a guess. It's a best guess. It can be a great guess. There can be theories that you should go ahead. I don't think that every conspiracy theory is a bad thing. I'm not even calling this a conspiracy theory. Every theory is not wrong or bad. Theories, once again, are B. We have A, we know what A is. C, we feel like we know where we're heading. B, we need a theory to help us along the way. That's it. But anyways, when we get rid of this, watch this. When they started addressing your children, right? By the way, the Bible says not to be a stumbling block to the children. It says if you offend even the little ones, these little ones, what does it say? It says if you are offensive, if you offend them, if you are a stumbling block to them, it's better that a millstone be tied around your neck and you be thrown off a bridge than for you to go ahead and have to deal with what Yah has for you. Alrighty. Okay. So this ain't even about you. This is about the babies at this point. Some of you are going to argue something, and no matter what, you're not going to look at these facts. You're not going to look up things for yourself. You're not going to look up statistics. I just gave you there's 6 types of evolution, and I said, hey, can you prove any of them? There's only one that you can say existed. It's technically not even evolution. It's just having sex and procreating. But you guys don't believe in creationism, so why would you believe in procreating? You have to even say your children, when they're born, they evolve from you. You hear that? You know what I'm saying? Like, people, we just got to be careful. I'm not trying to come at anybody today. I just don't have as much time. I apologize. I thank y'all for being on. I just want you to hear this, though, right? So here we go. So in the 1960s, they started introducing evolution. What do you think started happening when they started introducing evolution? Once again, we're taking away a system, creationism. We're taking away a system based off of what Yah created. So what do you think happened when they started doing this? Well, let's look. Let's look and see. What do you think started happening when we got rid of this system? Well, in 1963, right? 1963, we found that there was a decline since 1963 reflects the overall downtrend of textbook content, right? The percentage of text devoted to evolution has not diminished, right? Now, in other words, we saw more evolution in your textbooks. When somebody says, okay, well, where are you going with that? All right, well, allow me to go a little further. See, I want you to see when we started seeing more of this stuff, what are some of the things that started happening? Right? Some of you might even know a name. I don't have time to go into her today, but I'll go ahead and say what her name is. Madeline, Madeline, Madeline Murray, Murray, O'Hare, Ohare. People like her started looking up at what they did, where they started saying that basically theology, or the believing in the Most High, believing in creation, is one of the worst things that could ever happen to the existence of mankind, right? They're starting to put this stuff in order. Okay. Guess what starts happening at the same time? You take away creationism, because if you take away creationism, then it means that there's no system based off of a creator. In other words, there is no morality. There is no guides. I know some people are going to look at me strange when I say this, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you. You ready? And by the way, the source for this is the Center to Disease Control and Department Human Resources. This is what? The source for this is the Center for Disease Control and Department of Human Resources. I'm not talking about something that's just in my head or something that I just came up with or something that I think. No. We're talking real talk off of what you can look up in your census and everything like that. And it says that when you start getting to that same line, 1963, when you get to that same place, when they start executing, when they start putting in your textbooks, when they have elder women who's supposed to teach the younger women how to roll, and now the elder women are out here saying belief in the Most High is an enemy to us being greater. We got to stop doing this stuff, right? We're in this space race. We're trying to defeat Russia. This is a Cold War thing. We need to be just like the Russians, who Stalin and Hitler and all these other people who Stalin is replicating. Stalin is out here doing that because he wants people to believe that he is their God. He had them take down their white Jesuses that they had on their walls. He had them take down their Jesuses. He had them take out Bibles. He had them burn stuff, and he had them put up his picture. And it wasn't until they were fighting Hitler that he said, you know what, let's put their belief system back up, at least for this season. And everybody put their belief system up, and they were able to defeat Hitler and them. Then as soon as they defeated him, he tells everybody to take their stuff back down again and make him their God. Right? People don't know where this stuff comes from. But anyways, at this time, 1963, guess what you saw? You saw STDs, sexual transmitted diseases. They went up. They not just went up, they went up 385%. And wait a minute, they didn't just go up 385%. They went up 385% to the babies, ages 10 through 14. All of a sudden, STDs started spiking up because you took away the system of creation, which means you took away the system of morality. Oh, I know you don't want to go there, but see, this is the reality. We got to be honest. Let's go all the way there. When you did that now, right? Watch this. Now you have another problem that pops up. When you did this now you got another problem that pops up. What's the other problem? The percentage, and I'm sorry, I can't even see this on my phone all the way, so forgive me if I'm saying the wrong words, but the way my phone's designed, I can't see the top of this. The percentage of girls who have had premarital sex starts to go up. 15 years old, right? It went up to where the 15-year-olds had sex 30 times. Wait a minute, 16-year-olds now getting up to where they have it at 40 times. 17-year-olds are creeping up into the mid-50s. By the time you're 18, now you done had 70 experiences. Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. What's going on? This is all around the same time where they said, let us introduce evolution. Let's get rid of the system of creation, and let's get rid of a system that says you must have morality. And all of a sudden things start to change. I'm just telling you, look, I'm just saying this is what's there. This is what's there, right? They put this stuff in place and then we're supposed to support it. Right? It was your churches too that started giving these condoms out and stuff like that. Oh yeah. You can't act like, you say, well, my grandparents were God-fearing. Has that man ever had any real morality? I don't know. Is it all right to go ahead and shoot a child in the head? If not, then we got to have some kind of compass. It's almost like saying, has the earth never had a true north? I mean, we could get into that because technically the world was flipped upside down. Le monde à l'envers. That's not, they don't just say that randomly. But obviously, you wouldn't want somebody to just do something like put a gun to your head and pull the trigger. You said today man creates war and power for money and this and that or whatever. Yeah, and you would say that it's wrong, right? The only reason why you're saying something about it is because you feel like it's wrong. Why do you feel like it's wrong? Because it's immoral? You're a man or woman, not even sure because you got muted now, but you're a man or a woman, a human being, saying you have a problem with men doing a certain thing. If we have a problem with it, then we got to figure out some morals, don't we? You see what I'm saying? People don't like it when you deal with the fact that people try to take away creation or creationism, a system based off of creation, because the system has to be based off of righteousness. It can't keep changing. All right. Anyways, let's keep on going. I wish people would listen and hang in there long enough. We might be able to help this out. I'm sorry. I had that wrong. That was, well, I had it right. Percentage of teen girls. I said percentage of girls, percentage of teen girls. Let's keep on going though. Now the birth rate's gone up. See, it's my body, my choice. I mean, sure, but what are the consequences? Why are you all right with this? This is once again, same year, 1963. We're talking about the same season when they started saying we're going to make the textbooks about this. We're going to have the older women out here telling y'all this. We're going to tell you guys, right? Even feminism, the reason why you have a feminist movement is feminism has become that you are not allowing us to evolve into what we truly could be. You're getting to evolve, but we're not getting to evolve. Read the documentation, read the books. You don't know the system. You don't care to know. You don't care to call it out. But we're going to call it out today. All right. Watch this. Birth rates for unwed girls, ages 10 to 14. I mean, I don't know if they should be wed yet, ages 10 to 14. But hey, this is what the statistic says. We'll go ahead and go with what they say. Right. It said that now, at this point, their birth rates are up 100%. We introduced evolution. We said this is what we're going to teach now. We're going to get rid of creationism. Now the birth rates go up 100%. So that means if the birth rate in between ages 10 to 14, you were having one child, two children in that area. Well, guess what you having now? Let's say you having one child. So some families have it to where, like, let's say some girls, the girls in that area now, they're what? You have one more child. You got two children. Right? Now, this could mean, if we be honest, can I be honest about this one? Let's say there might be some girls that have 0 children and it doubles up to 0, but that's not what this statistic is about. This statistic, this graphic that we're using, we're literally saying that for those who are unwed girls, who are what? Of ages 10 to 14, it's not even that their birth rate, it is their pregnancy. See, you could be pregnant and not have the baby. We'll leave that there. I'm not here to talk about the A word today. But you can be pregnant and not have the baby, which means that they knew that there were a bunch of girls out there that were getting pregnant already, right? But now it's doubled up. And because it's about evolution, it's just a fetus. It's my body, it's my choice. How dare you say something to me about it? This is 1963. Y'all keep acting like this is something new. You said China had a law you could only have 2. Well, it was even less than that, right? It was even less than that at one point. And they lied about the situation. Now what's happening is China, just like a lot of other people with their propaganda, China, you're starting to find out that they were lying about even their population. They were lying about how many boys and girls really were there. They were lying about a lot of different things. Right? That stuff's gonna come out though. If you haven't been paying attention, it's about to, because America likes to go ahead and come against them. But let's keep on going. Right? I'm just trying to show you guys some things. Watch this. You even were taught about overpopulation now because there's what? Because there's so much stuff and evolution and we're evolving and blah blah whatever. We got to make sure that we evolve. But a lot of people don't know that getting rid of life is evolution, according to the theory. If I get rid of life, that's part of evolution. Did you know that? Did you know that that's why you need to depopulate the earth? That's where that theory comes from. That's a theory too. That's a scientific theory. Why don't people talk about that as a scientific theory? Why is that scientific theory not thought about? Why is it not talked about? That's a scientific theory. Yeah. That's a scientific theory. Did you know that? There's a scientific theory that says that you need to depopulate the earth. The earth is overpopulated. Right? But do you know? And they say supposedly we're at 8 billion people. Do you know that I could take, if you gave me 4 more billion people, 4 more billion people, I could take all of them and I could literally put them in one place in Florida. Now, y'all don't be believing me when I say this, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. If you take the square mile, or the what is it? I guess it'd be the square mileage, or even not the square mileage. I guess square footage, right, of humanity or something like that. If you give me, if you were to give me 12 billion human beings, 12 billion human beings, I could fit them all in Jacksonville, Florida. See how evolution messes with your mind? They got you believing that the Earth's overpopulated. Literally. Do you know? People don't believe this. Now look, I'm admitting to you first. We're gonna take this somewhere, but just roll with me. I could take, if I had 12 billion people. There's not 12 billion people on Earth. That's what they say. How you doing, brother Ali? But I could take 12 billion people, and granted, at this point, they're shoulder to shoulder, so they're like sardines. Obviously, human beings shouldn't live like that. But just hear me for a second. I could take 12 billion people and just simply put them in Jacksonville, Florida. Central Florida, not even Central Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. Imagine if you give me Jacksonville, if you give me Orlando. Now I got a couple places for you. Imagine if you gave me the whole state of Florida. I'm talking about more people than what's on the planet now. They say to you, nobody really knows, for real, for real. But I could literally take 12 billion people if I wanted, if I had the power to. I don't want it either. But I could take 12 billion people and put them in one place, shoulder to shoulder. I could give them the whole state of Florida to where they wouldn't be shoulder to shoulder, and they might not even see each other all day, every day. You said, do I know how many people is 12 billion? It's 4 more billion that supposedly was supposed to be on the planet now. Are we supposed to be close to 8 billion? That's my point, right? Really, I don't think anybody here can fathom what a billion is, because nobody in their life has ever been able to count to a million. You could take your whole life, even if you couldn't breathe. I think it would take something like 80 something years, or maybe even 100 years or something like that, to be able to count from 1 to a million without breathing, without sleeping. Try to do 1 to a billion. Nobody really fathoms it. But we're going off of what supposedly these statistics that we keep finding out the census are done correctly anyways, and people lie about stuff, right? I'm going off of what they say. If what they say is correct, if you're talking about, once again, square footage, I could take 12 billion human beings shoulder to shoulder and put them in the same city, Jacksonville, Florida, right? Right? So we're on the same, I guess we're on the same path. I don't know. But I could take 12 billion people and put them in the same place, right? Now watch this. I give 12 billion people Florida. You say that's not enough. What if I gave 12 billion people Florida, Georgia, and I'll throw in Alabama, and you let the rest of the earth just be your food? Let the rest of the earth do what it's supposed to do. You just go out and harvest. You can feed 12 billion people. I'll give you that. People say, no, that's not enough. That's not enough. Okay, fine. Let me give you the Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama, out there in Kentucky, Tennessee, and you can still keep Florida. How's that sound? 12 billion people. Somebody said, no, that's not enough. Okay, cool. What if I give you all the states that are on the East Coast from Maine all the way down to Florida, and I still let you keep Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, and you know what? I'll throw in Ohio. That's not enough. How about I give you all the state of Texas? Everything else, you can grow food where you are, but everything else on the planet is just only supposed to be for you to eat. Only for animals and food stuff to be able to exist, and you can go and you can harvest and you can hunt. It takes 32 years to count to 1 billion. Thank you. Yeah, right. Yeah, said if we're overpopulated, walk out and every city has open spaces. There you go. Matter of fact, go do some research, right? When you get a chance, go cross country. I've been blessed to be able to do it a few times in life. Go cross the United States of America. Go to other countries. Go to Ghana. Go to Jamaica. Go to England. Go to different places and see how long you can actually go certain places and not see anybody. You'll see cows out there. You'll see solar energy. You'll see fruit. Matter of fact, in deserts, you'll see fruit trees. They're growing fruit trees in deserts. They got enough solar energy to power whole cities just out there, right? Sometimes you'll be riding out there, and at first the solar panels, they look like water because there's so many of them. It looks like the sun is bouncing off it, like it would bounce off the water. Go through Arizona, go through New Mexico, ride through Texas for a long time. People say, well, Texas is desert. You can't grow anything in desert. You can grow food in Texas. You got all these places. Matter of fact, Native Americans used to be in all these places in deserts and valleys. And by the way, there's more than one type of desert anyway. But they used to be in these places. Nobody had an issue. They ate well. They fed each other. They grew stuff. How many places in Canada are not even inhabited by man? Canada is way bigger than the United States of America and has way less people than the United States of America. You do not have an overpopulation problem. But this is coming off of what? An evolutionary thing that says that you have to depopulate. The whole goal is to get you to depopulate. But why is evolution something that gets you to depopulate? Right? By the way, I hope I made my point, right? Because I said 12 billion, I can give you all this stuff. What if I gave 12 billion people all the United States of America? The rest of the earth is your food. What if I said, I give you United States of America and Canada, the rest of the earth is your food? What if I gave you the rest of the United States, Canada, Mexico, and Central America, all of North America, Greenland, all that stuff, Iceland, and the rest of the earth is just your food? 12 billion people. There's no such thing as an overpopulation problem. You have an evolutionary mind. You have an evolution problem, not a. You have a lack of creationism, a lack of a system that makes sure that you lift each other up and feed one another and grow food and till the land and stuff like that. That's what you have a problem. How is it that Bill Gates owns? He doesn't own the most land. That's actually kind of a lie. But he's one of the top owners of acreage of land in the world. How does he own almost more land than everybody else does? Which means he has more access to food than everybody else does. Nobody gets to live on the land that he owns, but he says that you can't have a overpopulation problem because you can't feed your babies. And he goes to African nations. He goes to the ghettos. He goes to the hood. He goes to the Negro. He goes to black folk. He goes to the Israelite. And he says, we need to make sure that we cut your stuff down. It's just like what Margaret Sanger did. See, because according to evolution, you are not that high. According to evolution, Carl Linnaeus is a guy named Carl Linnaeus. Right? Carl Linnaeus is a guy who, according to evolution, said that you have different races. You didn't think of yourself as different races. There was animal species, right? Then they said, well, the animals were always in competition. And since they were in competition with one another, they had to be what? They had to have different races. That's where the term race comes from, competition. You're at competition. You're at war with somebody else. And so Carl Linnaeus started saying that animals had different races. Then he started saying different human beings had different races, right? These different human beings, they had different ways of competing with each other. And who was at the top? White people were at the top. Then it was red people at second. It was yellow people third. It was black folk fourth. He had Latin names sounding for it, but that's what he did. Because, Latin in their system means, scientific. Evolution. It's exactly what the Most High wants it to be. That's what they say. And are you tracking with me? Am I lying to you? See, We even have to deal with the lack of creationism. Now, tomorrow we're going to go into what the Bible says about creation. We're going to study how the earth was made. We're going to study how the stuff came together. But today, I just want to show you what the lack of creationism does. A lack of a system of creation means that you're dealing with something that changes all the time because it's not based off of anything that's an absolute. Without an absolute, you cannot say it's technically, it shouldn't be scientific. And thank you for the love. Appreciating how you doing. Start now. If it's not an absolute, technically, it's not even scientific. But watch this. There's a book written by Charles Darwin, most famous book. Many people would say of all time. Obviously, it's not, because the Bible is always a bestseller. You know that, by the way. They have to take the Bible off the bestseller list because it would always outsell everything else. There is no such thing as anything that's being sold, any book that's being sold that outsells the Bible. Never has been, never will be. Just putting that out there. Like people to say, man, this is the greatest book. It's the bestseller, blah, blah. Okay, Charles Darwin wrote this book. Now, remember, I told you who Carl Linnaeus was. Keep that in mind. You ready? We're going to go through this title together, all right? What is the title of this book written by Charles Darwin? The title of this book is called The Origin of Species. Technically, it's actually The Theory of Evolution, but we'll go ahead and leave it there. The Origin of Species, because it's talking about the theory of evolution, but watch this. The Origin of Species by means of natural selection, or means semicolon. That means if you don't like what I'm saying as far as this book is the origin of species by means of natural selection, or this is what natural selection actually means. Or what does natural selection mean? According to their religion, according to their faith, according to what they're telling you and I that we should know, right? Yeah, you're welcome to take screenshots if you're on TikTok. Watch this. And I'll try to make sure these things are going to be on our Patreon as well. So if you want to look at Patreon later, we'll make sure that we post this for you. Okay? Are you ready? What does this actually mean? What does this really mean? The origin of species by means of natural selection, or this is what they mean when they say natural selection: the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Come on, somebody. Come on, give Yah praise, because he's teaching you something there. He's showing you, right? This is what you were taught in school. You were taught Darwinism. Don't let them lie to you. Oh, no, we don't think that Charles Darwin was this. Now evolution has become, once again, they're trying to change it, say it's absolute. This was written, by the way, in 1859. What happens in 1860 and 1861? Something that causes manifest destiny, something that they're fighting for. They're fighting to make sure that they can keep Black folk as property in the United States of America. You got manifest destiny. What's going to happen in 1865? You're going to start having people put together the lost cause rhetoric, right? What's happening around this time already? Something called the white man's burden, where it is literally the burden of the white man to make sure that he gentrifies and colonizes everybody to make them look like him, because God has ordained them, because he is his own God. Evolution. Oh, you know, in the Roman Catholic Church, there are people who teach that they have the right to become gods. Oh, do you not know that in the Mormon Church, Elohim and anybody who's faithful to Elohim, they simply become somebody who's righteous? And if you become righteous enough, you got to be white and delightsome. You can't be a black person, you can't be a colored person. But if you're white and delightsome, you can become your own God. And if your wife is white and delightsome, she can go ahead and be pregnant and have spirit babies for the rest of her life. You know, Elohim, he has a wife in the Book of Mormon, and his wife is somebody that just has the spirit babies for him all day. That's where all the humans come from. I mean, this is their culture. This is their culture, right? The origin of species by means of natural selection. What does it mean? What does natural selection mean? Or the preservation of favored races, species, and the struggle for life, by Charles Darwin. And it was written in 1859. And remember, I told you that name, Carl Linnaeus? Carl Linnaeus is important here because remember, Carl Linnaeus is somebody who wrote this to make sure that he showed you that white people were supposed to be on top, black people on the bottom. But what's one of the first things that it says here? It tells you that he is the fellow of the royal, that means royalty was behind this. Geological, that means geologists, the people who's supposed to tell you how the world was shaped and formed and stuff. They're supposed to be behind it. And then it says after that, Linnaean. That's Carl Linnaeus. So wait a minute. That was you're more welcome to listen. We standing here getting ready to start giving out some stuff, so I'm just trying to do the live session for here. But we're just talking about stuff. Huh? Basic. I mean, depending on how you look at it. But so we talking about so if you're talking about Charles Darwin's book, everybody's talking about this now. Once again, if I'm gonna talk about evolution, and look, whatever you believe, I just want you to see it. Charles Darwin is literally the name of his book is what? The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or what? The Preservation of Favored Races and the Struggle for and the Struggle for Life. Amen. So, you know, so when you're talking about the struggle of favored races, or I'm sorry, in the survival of favored races, or the preservation of favored races, and the struggle for life, hey man, he got pumped up. You know, you're talking about what? You're talking about preserving favored races. Who are the favored races? Now you got to read Charles Darwin's book, because this is Linnaean, but he broke down Carl Linnaean's thing and he made more. There's more groups of white people that they have more power. There's more colored people. There's more black folk at the bottom. And so now there's more groups, but the higher you go, the whiter you get. We got to preserve those that are up top. This is an evolutionary mind. Lack of creationism. Come on, somebody. This is an evolutionary mind. A lack of creationism. That's what I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with the evolutionary mind. What? Somebody who says that there is no system based off of the Most High creating things. They can try to call it whatever they want. They can try to tell me I'm lying about it, whatever they want. They can try to tell me this and that. This is right in front of your face. You can look this up for yourself. You can look this up. Once again, look up the book, The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, or the or the Preservation of Favored Races and the Struggle for Life. I keep trying to flip it in my head. And it's supported by royalty, by geologists, and by those who are Linnaeans or Linnaists, who follow Linnaean doctrine. Right? These societies. You see? This is put in place at a specific time when a specific thing is being done. Now, according to them, you would think that evolution is something that everybody believed in. But here's another thing. How long ago was 1859? Question for you. Now, Carl Linnaeus goes back before, right? We'll be honest. But how long ago was 1859? Because they want you and I to believe that everybody's always believed this and that everybody on the planet believes this. How long ago was 1859? Well, 1959 would be in 100 years. So let's just do the math. Let's keep counting. 69, 79, 89, 99, 2009, 2019. That's 60. And then I add on what? 4 more years? 64 years. That gives me 164 years ago. So 164 years ago, nobody even cared about what Charles Darwin had to say. It didn't move us. When we were building pyramids, nobody cared about Charles Darwin, what he had to say. That was thousands. That was 5,000, 6,000 years ago. Nobody was worried about that, right? Nobody. When we were sitting up there and we were making sure, when Mansa Musa was moving across Africa, it was putting gold in different lands so much that he literally changed the value of gold. Hundreds of years ago, nobody cared about that. When they had their dark ages, because that was not our dark ages. Our dark ages when we ran into them and we took on their culture. But when they had their dark ages, nobody was moved by that. When Shaka Zulu was turning Zulu into a mighty nation, the Zulus into a mighty nation, nobody was sitting up here talking about Charles Darwin. Oh, come on. So you just roll with me now. You guys, I know you don't want to hear this. I know you want to listen to this, right? Nobody was worried about this stuff. I'll tell you something else. This is since Charles Darwin. When you were born, you didn't care what Charles Darwin had to say. You had to be schooled. You see? Right? It wouldn't have made sense to you when you were a baby. And I know somebody said when I was a baby, a lot of stuff made sense to me. When you were, let me do it like this. See, when you get ready, this is something even for the babies. I know this is not necessarily made for children, but I know different people allow their children to watch. So whatever you do is whatever you do. It's for educational purposes only. You ready? Those who are listening, spiritual babies, physical babies, whatever the case might be, hear me and hear me well. When you read your science textbook, hear me and hear me well. When you read that science textbook, when you go ahead and look at that scientific notation, when you go to the museum, when you do all this stuff, here's something that I'm going to tell you that you're going to already know somebody lying to you. You ready? You're going to hear something that's going to sound like this. It's going to sound like a long time ago in a faraway place. It's going to sound like every Star Trek episode, every Star Wars episode you've ever heard in your life. Right? It's going to start off a long time ago in a faraway place. Billions of years ago. Hundreds of millions of years ago. In the island of Galapagos. Nobody knows what happened hundreds of millions ago in the island of Galapagos. Yeah, when somebody speaks to you like that, know it's a fairy tale. Know it's a fallacy. And Second Timothy chapter 4 tells us, be careful when we're out here. We're charged to preach the word, be instant, in season, out of season, because people are going to what? To incline their ears to fable. They don't want to hear the truth. They rather keep suspending their disbelief. They incline or lend their ears to story. Right? Never ending story, all this stuff. Go back and watch these movies, and you're going to see a lot of them, right? Even if they're talking about modern stuff, they don't even go back thousands of years. They'll do what? They'll still say, you have a lot of movies that even start with the end, right? And then you watch the end, and you're like, oh, I guess so-and-so's not going to make it, and maybe will they make it? Will they not make it? And then it rewinds to the beginning, and it says, here's the start of my story. This is something that people do when they're authoring a book, when they're authoring tales, hundreds of millions of years ago. A faraway place. There was a bang that was heard around the universe where something came from nothing. Right? There was a time in your childhood when you were a baby, when you were a toddler even, where somebody said something came from nothing, you'd be like, I don't even, what? Right? They had to teach you how to be. Forgive me for saying it like this. If the shoe fits weird, if it doesn't take it off, I had to come out of this myself. They had to teach you how to be stupid. There's not a baby that's ever been born until somebody taught them how to be stupid that would ever even think that it would make sense that something could come from nothing. There's not a baby that had ever seen a table and didn't think that somebody had carved the table out before. Right, 0 times 0, they taught us 2. Yeah, I'm just trying to help somebody. There's not a baby on earth that used to be walking around here and be like, I see a building, and somehow the building is there. Here's something else I want to give you as far as what we're talking about as well. You ready for this? Here's something else I want to give you. If you ready, hopefully you're ready for this, right? Hopefully you're ready. It's something simple, but I want to give you. I don't even remember. I wish I could remember the name of the law. I wish I could remember the name of the law. I can't remember the name of the law off the top of my head, but this is just something that makes so much sense, as plain as the nose on your face. You ready for this? There is not anything that's ever been created that can exist without somebody giving it upkeep. May I say that again? There's not anything that's ever existed that can exist without some type of upkeep, that can exist without some kind of salvaging. Come on, hallelujah, somebody. I just gave that, the Holy Spirit just gave you something. There's not anything that has ever existed that if it's left alone, it will not deteriorate. Not one thing. That if it's left alone, right? Watch this. Is there a building that will exist if you don't keep it upkeep? Right? I don't care if nobody steps foot in the building. I don't care if you make sure that you close it down, shut it down. I don't care if you keep all the animals, the vermin out, the insects, whatever. That building will start to immediately, as soon as it's been built, it starts to go down. This is why when you take a car and you take it off the lot, as soon as you travel off the lot, as soon as some of you drive it off the lot, guess what happens? It immediately goes down in value. Why? Because as soon as it's not somewhere where they know it'll be kept up the way it's supposed to, as soon as you've literally just put your foot on the gas, as soon as you turn the key, it's already dropped in value. Because there's not one thing that's ever been created, there's not one thing that's ever existed that without upkeep can keep itself up. This is one of the things that should really start to get you to say, maybe we need to leave this non-creationism thing alone. Oh, wow, I thought it was 9:33. It's 9:53. I got to get ready to get off here so we can get on the podcast. I apologize, y'all. I literally thought it was 9:33. It's 9:53. Forgive me. Right? Praise y'all. Thank you, Holy Spirit, because that's a great place to end. There's not one thing that if it's not upkept, it can remain or it will not continue to break down. Right? Your body can't be upkept if you don't feed it, right? Your heart won't beat if certain things aren't upkept. But guess what? Your soul, your spirit, your body, they have to be upkept by something. Who is the keeper of your soul? I challenge you today to be able to give it to Yah. He is the ultimate keeper of your soul. He is the one that created you. All right. So tomorrow, Sunday, we're normally on a little longer. Last Sunday we didn't get to because we had some things and funeral and stuff like that to take care of. So we should be back on this tomorrow. Y'all pray for us. Those who are coming to the DMV, we're going to be over Southeast DC. If you know where Eastover, whatever they call it, Eastover Mall or whatever that is, if you're coming down the street, coming down Southern Avenue and all that stuff, if you're coming into Maryland, as soon as you get past and you see the Foreman Mills on your left-hand side, basically you pass where we're going to be set up. I'm going to go ahead and take our stuff down, get Minister Tamara on, and while she starts the podcast, we're going to start trying to set up over here. So hopefully we'll see you guys in the area. Prayerfully, you'll be around. And if for some reason, I'm not sure, we didn't come here for that. We just come here to lend a hand and give to the community and pray for folk and stuff like that today. So prayerfully, you guys can join us for that. If for some reason you can't, we'll be doing that from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then at 2 p.m., we're going to be trying to break bread together. If for some reason you cannot meet up with us, and I'll put the information on TikTok as we get ready to do our shout outs. If you're on, you know what? I can't really do a shout out right now, not only because we don't have time, but because I'm out here just out. So we can't really do one. But I'll put up our information if you want to text or email us. If you'd like to be able to try and get in contact with us, texting right now would probably be the best thing because I don't really have time to kind of scroll through stuff. Minister Tamara will be on in a matter of moments for the podcast. So if you want to come on the podcast, I'll put that information up as well. And I'll also put up the poster or the invite for you guys if you're looking at coming over to be a blessing to the community in the DMV. All right. And so, but if you need specific address, all that stuff, I'll make sure that we have that. Matter of fact, I'll put that up for you today. I'll put up the specific address and all that because at this point, unless you're not really going to be able to come and make much of anything anyways if you're not coming for the righteous reason. So we'll put that information up for you today. But thank you all. We appreciate you. I thank my wife, who her and people we picked up, my son, they're literally sleeping. They came out early, got up early, just to make sure I got over here to be able to give a word so that I can be set up after this to go into to help the community. So we thank you. Hopefully you guys have been a blessing to somebody in your community. Hopefully we'll be able to reach out to you soon. Also too, please, ma'am, please, sir, if you get a chance, go to our YouTube channel, go to our Facebook channel, go to the podcast, whatever, go to our website. If we need your name and number and everything again, or if you just want to update it, feel free to go ahead and fill that information out for us again. And that way we can make sure that we have everybody's name, their phone number, their address, all that. And right now our ministerial staff is going through a lot of stuff just like I am. It's just a season for it, I guess. However, we'll try to make sure that they're doing their best to reach out to you guys and let you guys know, what's up, that they're thinking about you, praying for you, and you can have conversation with them in your area, okay? But I won't be able to do the shout-out thing as normal today, so I'm going to just go ahead and put our stuff up. We thank you guys. We'll put the stuff up so you guys can kind of see what's happening, and hopefully you'll be able to join us. We'll put our information up, and we'll put up, excuse me, we'll put up the podcast information right now. If you want to join the podcast, by the way, you got to be live at least. You have to make sure that you have the Podbean app. So I'll put that up real quick. Please take a screenshot. I don't really have time to go through the other stuff. So if you're on with us on TikTok, just please take the screenshot real quick. This is the information. You got to have Podbean app and then look for the Kofi Ofori podcast. And when you get on there, Minister Tamara should be giving us a word in a couple minutes. So if you'd like to be able to do that, referring to the questionnaire. If you want to fill out the questionnaire for us. If you haven't done so or already, if you have, like I said, we're going to try and make sure somebody's reached out to you, but I apologize. I kind of got to hurry up because we got to get ready for the podcast. It won't come up. Okay, we'll try to see it again because some people have been saying the same thing. I don't know if it's a thing that we got to change it to where you got to either click on it or you got to copy and paste on it or something like that. But I will try to figure that out. But if it's not working or whatever, you can also text us, email us, whatever, and we'll try to get your information. But anyways, that's stuff for the podcast real quick. Let me put up our information if you want to. Sorry, I just put up our flight information. If you want to text us or email us, feel free. Hold on one second. If you want to text us or email us, take a quick screenshot of this. If you like, you can take a quick screenshot of this. You can text us or email us or visit the website as well. But texting us right now, especially, might be the best. And I will do my best to get back to you ASAP and or one of our ministerial staff. And then, at some point, I'll reach out to you. I'll leave this up for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, thank y'all so much. And then, of course, if you're somebody who's looking at joining us or whatever later on, here is where we're going to be meeting up, or well, the flyer for it. But basically, it's on the corner of Southern Avenue and South Capitol, Southeast, zip code 20020. Right? If that's not enough for you, and the Stones House is going to be the group that we're going to be working with and under. So if y'all want to go ahead and you see Indian Will and God's Arrow, those are some people that are out there preaching through hip hop. Great brothers, and they're going to be out here too. They're going to have speakers and everything set up, and we'll be praying and giving out food and everything like that. If that is sorry, there's one with and also hold on, I'm sorry, y'all. Got too much stuff on here. I might not have. I thought I had the actual address. Oh, okay. This is where we're going to be. I don't know if you can even read the address. You might not be able to. It's on the bottom there. If you want to take a screenshot, this is where you can park. Or at least if you get to this area, you're literally like a couple minutes walking from where we're going to be. But this is a parking lot that we're looking at having you guys be at if you want to meet. Aman, 20 Audrey Lane, 20 Audrey Lane, Oxon Hill, Maryland, 20745. All right. So thank you all for being on. I really got to get going. The podcast is supposed to be starting right now. So we thank you. We appreciate you. Sisters, don't forget Women in Red coming up. So that's going to be December 23rd, 7:00 p.m. Eastern New York time on Zoom. So you guys should be getting a Zoom link for that. And you should start seeing that pop up on social media platforms for you guys to be ready for. And we're looking forward to MIT Tracy and MIT Jenny being on for that. Amen. As well as other preachers and sub-preachers. We're going to get out to you. Sisters, we're going to get out to you with assignments pretty soon. All right. So thank y'all. Appreciate you. You guys take care. You guys do well. You guys do great. I got to go ahead and get ready. We give all praise and honor to the Most High. We give all praise and honor to him. For my wife, the Honorable Maya, who lives a life that's able to be honored. You can check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A&D, the letter N. Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, a biologist by degree. Hopefully everything's going well with the new gig, Sister Sage, as well. Meant to say that a couple weeks ago or a week ago, whatever it was. But thank y'all for being on. Really appreciate you. You guys take care. Praying for your safe travels. Hopefully you do the same for us. And we will talk to you guys soon. Hopefully we'll see some of you guys soon. We'll see you on the podcast as soon as we finish this. As always, this has been Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servant of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, but being a voice of the voiceless and speaking the unspoken until we have the great privilege, opportunity, and responsibility of being in front of you all again. Please remember, as always, that you are loved, you are necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shabbat Shalom. Peace.